All right, everybody. We're back. You're Wrong Podcast, episode 5. I'm Jake.
I'm Julian, and before we get started, I just want to say I'm sorry. Said the next episode was going to be in person. It wasn't. I've been sick for like 2 months. I had a sinus infection this weekend. It just won't go away. It feels like the last time I've been healthy was when the last time Mark Few won a meaningful game. Never. It's been a while. But
Oh
no,
my
we're
God.
back on our Zoom, so we'll get after it today with some insight.
We'll get a we'll probably get a in-person episode in about 2 more episodes because once semester ends, he'll be back. So
Yep.
um yeah, so I'm just gonna run off some scores today that happened with the top 25 teams. We got Seton Hall being Bethune Cookman 84-70. Florida versus Troy, 84-45. We got Kansas beating Iona, 96-83. Arkansas, 76-60 versus Pennsylvania, and Villanova versus LaSalle, 72-46, and U Miami versus Alabama, 64-96. So there was pretty much all the favorites won today.
Yeah, nothing really there. Like, kind of good. It was kind of good to see Kansas bounce back after that bad loss to Dayton,
Yeah.
which we didn't really cover, but it was a bad loss. So they came out. They didn't play with Iona really. And Alabama, they were down 10 at one point and then won the game by what, 32. That's a
Yeah.
40
They
point.
had a huge second half. They shot the ball really well.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, what I noticed in that game is they lived and died by the three, which is how they won so many games last year. I mean, they shot 16 for 30 from the three today.
Yeah.
That's
They're the
well
same
over
team.
50%.
They're the same team they usually are.
Yeah.
Just offensive, not so.
They start they actually gave JD Davison 29 minutes today. I think he deserves all of that. He's NATO's first top 15 player ever, top 15 recruit. He deserved everything he had. He was flirting with a triple double all day, 13, 9, and 8 or something crazy like that. Shot 6 for 8 from the field. That's all you can ask for from him. He's an NBA talent. I mean, he's a prospect at this point. But that's what we're gonna touch on for the day. Nothing crazy. All the favorites won. Most of them covered, besides Kansas. I know that one for a fact didn't cover. And yeah, so let's hop into the Maui Invitational game. The Maui Invitational games, I should say. But we're mostly going to touch on the championship games just because they mean the most, you know what I mean? And we're going to touch on what happened in the other games leading up to that, but we're not going to have as much scores and stuff like that. I think you should know by now if you watch the games and pay attention to college, you should have something for that. But yeah. So the championship game was played between Wisconsin and St. Mary's. The final score is 61-55. And I think St. Mary's looks really good this year. They're coming out of the WCC and they're holding teams, to low amounts of scoring. They held their three opponents in the tournament to 59, 50, and 61. They went 2-1 in the tournament. Obviously lost to Wisconsin, but Wisconsin's a really good team. So
Yeah. I mean, I think Wisconsin's all right. I think Johnny Davis, he's a really good player. He can score the ball. And St. Mary's was my sleeper coming in this tournament because they're one of two teams, I think, that is returning 100% of their minutes from last year, that's like unheard of.
yeah.
So yeah, like you said, St. Mary's, they don't allow a lot of points. They're efficient offensively. But I just wanted to touch on my biggest takeaway from the Maui. My pick to actually win the tournament was Oregon, and that was bad. I think Oregon is a really bad basketball team right now. I think they have no offensive identity, and they're not good enough defensively to make up for it. They have 50 points or less in 3 out of 4 games, and their all Pac 12 player, Will Richardson, has less than 10 points in 3 of those games. And like we saw, they were just dominated defensively by St. Mary's in Houston. Like, they couldn't get anything offensively. Dane Altman looked lost. He couldn't adjust. They couldn't hit shots. They can't even make layups. Oregon, they're kind of a joke right now. And it's kind of a bad look for me because I said they were going to win the Pac-12. They have no chance to win the Pac-12 right now. Absolutely no chance.
Yeah. So basically, I agree with what you're saying over there. Oregon's got to figure it out, but they don't have an identity, which is something that St. Mary's actually has. I think they have an identity. They have all their minutes back, like you said. I think they have 5 dudes in double figures from what I've been seeing. You know what I mean? Those couple of games they've been balancing out the scoring. Um, and then there's those guys that are just when you have a balanced scoring attack, it's always going to be a good thing because then you can have that one guy, like a different guy every night. You know what I mean? To bounce, like you bounce around from which guy's going to go crazy that night. And then there's those nights where everybody's missing, but that's going to
Yeah.
happen. But
I mean,
it's scary. Those type of teams are scary because come tournament time, they could make a run just off the numbers. You know what I mean?
oh no, 100. I think St. Mary's, they're going to compete in the West Coast Conference. I think they're going to make the tournament easy. But can we just talk about how ugly Tommy Kuzi is? That their point guard, number 12. He's bald. He looks like he's like 40. Dude, I bet Oregon in that game. I couldn't look at his face any longer. I was going to lose my mind if I was going to watch that game any longer.
Yeah.
But he's good. He's actually really good. But
Yeah.
I just can't look at his face.
He's like Brock Miller from Utah State.
Yeah, no, he's an absolute goofball, but he makes the right play. So I mean, hats
That
off.
basketball, yeah.
Yeah,
But
but hats off to him.
just to touch on Wisconsin from this game, yeah, like you said, Johnny Davis, he's flew under the radar for our preseason video. I know that for a fact because that name didn't ring a bell to me until I started watching all the games. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh crap, this Johnny Davis kid's tough. Like he's averaging 25 and 2 on 43% from the field, not too shabby. He shot the lights out versus Houston. I was kind of throwing up in my mouth because Houston prides himself on defense and they don't usually let these guys pop off like this, you know what I mean? Unless you're like Baylor or somebody. But he had 30 points against them and played a great game. I think his defense is very underrated too. I think he was flying under the radar on our part all season long so far, and he's gonna make his way, I think he's gonna make his way into the conversation for something. Obviously, draft projections, all that stuff. I think his defense is super underrated too. I think he's only committed a handful of fouls already this season in the first couple
No,
of
I
games.
mean he'll be in the conversation for Big Ten Player of the Year, but I just don't know if Wisconsin is like good enough to really for him to stay there. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if we'll see them in the tournament. If we do, then watch out because he could be a guy who clips some of the big dogs.
I feel like he's in like like a Trey Young type of role, like how Trey Young was in college and wasn't playing with anybody, but was just kind of killing. You know what I mean?
He just does everything. Like he has to do everything for that team because they're not really that good outside of him, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a fact. But that's all I have for that Maui Invitational. I think it was a good tournament. Wisconsin did what they had to do. You were kind of right on St. Mary's. I thought Houston was going to be better, but they don't care about in-season tournaments.
Exactly. Yeah. St. Mary's, it's their last season with that core together. I had a feeling they were going to come out there. They almost beat Wisconsin, so I would have hit the nail on the head.
I think they were up at half, honestly, right? Weren't they up at half? 2 points.
Couldn't get it done. But a team that did get it done in the battle for Atlantis was Baylor. And with them, they didn't rebuild, they reloaded. So the way I look at Baylor is, and it's not really like a correct way to analyze things. It's you have a championship team last year. You have those guys that were backing those guys up in practice. They're getting reps against those top guys in practice. That just made them better. And they got James Akinjo from Arizona. He's the part that makes this thing move. He's quick with the ball. He defends. He facilitates. And they have Flagler, Cryer, Jonathan Chachua, and they're really long. They're really lengthy. They do what Baylor has always done, and that's no middle, crash the glass, suffocate you defensively, hit threes.
Yeah. So to touch on what you were talking about how they reloaded, I think they did an amazing job with this freshman recruit, Kendall Brown. He's been a key guy to all their success lately. He shot 6 for 7 in the chip game. He's shooting 71% from the field for the season. He averages 15 points per game too. So like he's making an impact already as a freshman. I think that's huge. Not really sure if I've seen him on any draft projections or anything, but they definitely reloaded, like you said. LJ Cryer's filling up role, stepping up, being big for them. And I think this is a good win for them because, everyone's underrating them, you know what I mean, this
It
season
proves that
going
they're still
forward.
here. It proves exactly that they're still here and they haven't gone anywhere. And I don't think they're going to go anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. Um, they just ran through every team they played in this tournament, honestly, if we're being honest. From what I've seen, they just ran through teams.
Oh, they did. They did 100%. They didn't play around. They smoked Michigan State. And I was actually talking about this with someone. The way they play, they're not going to get upset early in the tournament. You know what I mean? Like they don't rely on one guy to hit shots.
Yeah.
They don't play offensively and defensively in spurts. They suffocate you defensively. They run their stuff, and they have a plethora of guys who can hit shots. So I don't really I can definitely see a similar ceiling to what we saw last year. Obviously I don't know if they have the talent to win it all, but
They
I
got the
think
coaching though too. Scott
yeah, no,
Drew.
oh yeah, absolutely. I think Scott Drew needs to be talked about for one of the best coaches in the country.
Yeah, not for sure. But like you said, kind of similar to St. Mary's, but on a way higher scale. They're
Yeah,
such a deep team. They play these crazy amounts of guys. They play 10 deep. We haven't seen that from a lot of other teams. You know what I mean? Like Duke only plays about 7, 8 guys. Gonzaga has about 8 guys. Like this team has about 10, 11, guys that can get in and make a difference. So I think that they'll be fine. Honestly, they're not going to have a problem in the Big 12. They were underlooked too, so that's probably firing the fuel over there. Scott Drew's probably got them ready for whatever they have coming up. And I also wanted to note that they take care of the basketball, which is a big thing this year. I've seen so many pointless turnovers, and I think that taking care of the ball is going to win you games. It's going to get you more shots. You're going to be able to run more
yeah,
sets. You know what I mean? These pointless turnovers lead to run out buckets. It's only 2 points in the moment. Oh, and then it happens again. That's 2 more points. It builds up. You know what I mean? Honestly, I had a coach tell me this before in my playing days, under 10 turnovers for the game is an amazing game. Even if you lose, you still did what you had to do. I think under 10 turnovers for any team, especially at that level, D1 level is fine. You know what I mean? That has to happen. You have to have under 10 turnovers. Michigan State had 19 in that game. That just can't happen. We've been seeing these absurd amount of turnovers, a lot of erratic guards this year. But there is these schools that have ones that can make plays, LJ Cryer,
yeah,
Flagler, all these guys. They're being good. So I like what they got going on over there. I think they're going to keep it rolling.
yeah, yeah. But you just mentioned Michigan State, and I just Izzo just isn't who he is anymore. He can't develop guys from a freshman to a senior the way he used to. You know what I mean? Like Gabe Brown, he's awful. Like he has the same skill set he has when he was a freshman. He's one of their best players, which
Yeah.
isn't good. AJ Hogard, he really didn't get a lot better. He had a good game against Kansas, but we haven't even seen close to that since. Like I just don't. I think it might be
Yeah.
close to Tom Izzo's way out, to be
Yeah.
honest.
His departure might be coming soon.
Yeah, no,
Honestly, from my standpoint, I'm gonna say Marcus Bingham's their best player. I like what he's doing over there. He has 22 blocks in their first 7 games. That's about 3 point something. I don't know the math honestly on that. It's 3 point something, but he's their best player. Like the defense runs through him. You know what I mean? So if he's playing good defense, then they play good defense. But if he's not, then they're not going to be on the same page. I have a feeling about that. Max
yeah,
Christie's the struggles have continued for him. We've touched on this. He went 1 for 9 in their first game, 1 for 16. Or not 1 for 6. I don't know. I said 16, but he went 1 for 6 against UConn. 2 for 6 against Baylor. Like he's just not doing things that we thought he was going to be doing, which is fine. He's a freshman. He's struggling, but when is it time to like be like, damn, he might suck? Like, when do you think that is?
exactly. I was just gonna say, like, it's there comes a point that like you're gonna have freshman woes. It's gonna take a little bit for everything to click. But at the same time, it's like it's got to happen. It's got to happen eventually, especially if you're going to compete in the Big Ten. And Izzo's his expectations are make the tournament. Right now, I don't think this team can make the tournament. So, like you were saying, you know, I think I don't know if it's going to happen. I've had faith in them. I've had faith in them before, but I just don't think Michigan State's the program we're used to seeing, which is sad, to be honest, because I'm a big fan of what Izzo used to do and still does. But
Yeah.
right now, I just don't.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I do have one takeaway from what they've done in that tournament over there. I think they're deeper than we think, to be honest. So if they can get these guys into these roles and have everyone stepping up and making plays and having a more balanced attack like a Baylor, you know what I mean? If they could figure out how to get that balanced attack, I think they could be kind of scary. But I just don't know if they're gonna put the pieces together. I don't like how that team meshes together, if you know what I mean. Like I don't think certain players like complement the other players. You know what I mean? I haven't seen that. I think they all look a little out of place. I just don't think it's a good fit for some players over there. You know what I mean? But I could be wrong about that.
I completely agree with you. And speaking of depth, we saw UConn in the battle for
Yeah.
Atlantis. They're really deep. They have the build. They're kind of similar to Michigan State, in the way their team is built. But in terms of how the players play, it's night and day.
Oh
They
yeah.
actually have two guards who can complement each other in RJ Cole and Whaley off the bench, Polly. I can't think of the other guy's name.
No go. He's the forward.
I'm thinking of the guard, but either way, it's like they
Yeah.
have guards who complement each other, and they have two talented big men. They have a lot of wing guys, and I think that's how depth should be for a championship contender. Michigan State, they just have a bunch of guys who are like okay, and they don't really, like you said, they don't really mesh together. But I liked what I saw from UConn in this tournament for sure. I think they're going to be dangerous.
For sure. I think this is another team. Honestly, this whole tournament has been filled with teams that are 10 deep. You know what I mean? Just some teams are better than the other teams, like clear. Like Auburn's like 10 deep. UConn's 10, 12 deep. I think UConn's the deepest team that I've seen in this tournament because they were playing 12 guys at one game. They played 12 guys, and I'm not sure if it's only because of the foul trouble or whatever. But Dan Hurley's a really good coach, and these different lineups will just it's just gonna get so much easier for them to play together. You know what I mean? Down the stretch, because say like Andre fouled out the other day, and there's these other people that are getting in foul trouble. So if you put these other lineups together and these kids start meshing together, and you're like, oh, I put Hawkins in and he started killing, and I put Polly and him on the floor at the same time. Put them in two different corners. RJ Cole's manning the ship. Tyrese Martin down low.
That's
and
why
Sanogo. Yeah. So then we got Sanogo on the high post. We got a high-low game. We got two guys in the corner. So even if Andre's not on the floor, then that's still a perfect lineup. You know what I mean? Obviously, Andre brings the rebounding aspect and his underrated passing, which that was a good call on your part. I'm not gonna lie, because I watched the game against VCU and he was throwing darts down the court, and I was like, this dude has good vision. I'm not gonna lie, for being like a forward.
Yeah. Plus, Dan Hurley, he's underrated. He's a really underrated coach. I like what he's doing a lot there for sure.
Yeah, and I think Sanogo is like he's filling a role, a scoring role, which I didn't expect out of him. I thought RJ Cole was gonna be more the scorer, but RJ Cole still is underrated scorer in my eyes. I seen a post on the NCAA men's basketball page the other day, and it was like a comment underrated scorer, and I commented who I thought. I said Tyson and ETN, from Wichita State, because he's different, but we're not going to talk about him. But I seen mad people commenting RJ Cole, and I'm like, he was tough at Howard, so I'm gonna look at his numbers right now and see what he's been doing, because I only watched a couple of UConn games. Yeah, he's averaging a good amount of points. I think he averaged like 14, something like that, and he's averaging the most assists for the team. And his scoring just makes it easier for his teammates to score, because if he gets to the basket and has 26, he's probably gonna have about 6, 7 assists on top of that, just because 26 isn't his ceiling. You know what I mean? They're gonna start guarding him and sending doubles at him. He's gonna kick it, or he's just gonna make the right play, make that extra pass. I think that they're proving themselves to be the best team in the Big East. That might be a really hot take, but I like what they're doing over there more than I like what Villanova's doing. You know what I mean? So
yeah, no, I can definitely see where you're coming from there, but I think as long as Jay Wright is alive and well and the coach for Villanova,
that's what I'm saying though. Jay Wright is just a good ass coach, bro.
Yeah, but no, like you were touching on, I just think it's you have all these guys and everything, which is great. Like we were talking about Michigan State, they have a lot of guys, but at the end of the game, minute left, 2 minutes left, you need the last shot, you need a bucket. RJ Cole, like he's their guy.
Yeah.
And
He hit that corner three. Were you watching the game when he hit the corner
Yeah.
three against
No,
Auburn?
he had absolutely no business taking that shot. He took it, and that's what you need in March.
Yeah.
Like that, you need shot makers, you need killers.
Yeah, Andre was the one that passed to him. He made a good pass. He made a good read and didn't force anything, which I like.
Passer.
Yeah, for sure. But they lost to Michigan State, which I didn't expect out of them because I thought they were miles ahead of Michigan State coming into the season, with what they're bringing back and stuff and their recruits, stuff like that. But the thing I noticed from that game is they weren't passing the ball as much. And, we're saying right now, like, these dudes are underrated passers on their team. RJ Cole, Andre, I just think that they need to pass the ball more and shoot the three more efficiently. That's all you need to ask for from them. They already play hard defense. They are lengthy, they pack the floor. They take pretty good layups and, they don't take a bunch of forced shots. I think they run their sets, but the 3-point looks that they get, they need a hit. You know what I mean? 12% from the three against Michigan State isn't going to win you a game. So I think they'll be fine if they do that, but their role guys are playing really well for them. That's why I think UConn can be scary. Jalen Gaffney, Isaiah Whaley, they're pretty good. They're really good at the game of basketball.
Yeah, I'm all in on UConn for them being contender in March.
So honestly, what do you think is their ceiling? I think it's the Sweet 16. I might be dragging it. I think it's the Sweet 16.
No, you're gonna think I'm dragging it. Then I think their ceiling's the Final Four. I swear to God.
So right now, all right, let's just do this. Let's just make this a segment. We're gonna say our Final Four right now, off the top of your head. So you got UConn locked in at one spot. I need you to lock in 3 other teams.
So it's not, yeah. So I mean, they're obviously not on Duke and Gonzaga's level. But just in terms of how the team is built, you have Sonogo. He's going to be a Big East all teamer probably. You don't know which team, but he's one of the best big men in the Big East. Then you have Tyrese Martin, RJ Cole. I think that's just about as good as a backcourt duo as it gets in terms of shot making, in terms of experience. And then you just have the wing guys. You have Hawkins. I don't think he missed a shot in this whole tournament.
Yeah.
Polly, he's a sniper too. I just think the way this team is built and the way Dan Hurley coaches, I think the ceiling is the Final Four. Yeah. Do I think they're a lock to make the Final Four? No, just because of, the field's loaded this year.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I think, yeah, it's definitely loaded, but I'm saying I think that at least they can make the Sweet 16, but everyone's ceiling is going to be every good team's ceiling is going to be the Final Four, obviously, for us, for like this purpose of this, you know what I mean? But I think that they at least make the Sweet 16. I don't think they lose the first round again like they did to Maryland last year. That was a fluke. I think Bouknight was just more focused on just getting out, and he didn't look like he cared if they lost or won, you know what I mean? So it's like they got guys that want to prove stuff this year. They don't have any NBA talent, I should say. I don't know. They have NBA.
It's the last year this core is going to be together. They're all in. They want to win it all this year.
That's what I'm saying.
They want to go far in the tournament, which I can definitely see happening.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't think that. I think they want to win this year. I don't think that it's just I don't think they're going through the motions anymore.
So why don't we talk about 2 teams who are absolutely 100% making the Final Four? Duke and Gonzaga.
Yeah, that if they don't make the Final Four, I think college basketball is rigged, which I don't think it is rigged, but I think it would be rigged if they didn't make it, because after the game yesterday, everyone wants to see them play again. So
that game was nothing short of what we expected. It was 2 heavyweights just exchanging blows back and forth. Definitely did not disappoint. And my takeaway from both teams is I would be shocked to see either of the teams not make the Final Four.
Facts. I honestly, the only thing that scares me is that Duke has a lot of guys that are young. And I think I think Paolo's locked in right now, but I think he could end up getting to that mentality where it's just like, all right, he's having a bad game. And say it's the first game of the tournament. He comes out 2 fouls, starts off the game horrible. I think he could just go into that mode like, all right, I'm just going to go to the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, it's whatever. Like,
Yeah.
but I think that Wendell Moore is like mentally locked in. Like Wendell Moore is locked in. Like he wants to win stuff. He's not focused on the NBA. He's not looking ahead right now. I think he's locked in on winning a championship, especially for coaching reasons. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that he is so locked in. He's just the most locked in I think I ever could have thought he could have been. I didn't even think he could do the things he's doing this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, I get what you're saying with Paulo because he's a youngin and everything. But I think if he ever gets like that, they're gonna be like, listen, bro, this is Coach K's last year. Like, lock in. There's no NBA. You know, there's nothing past what's right now. And I think Duke kind of has that identity that they've lacked in the past years. You know, like this is ours for the taking. And my only question with them is like the guards. You know, Keels and Roach, they really struggled. But at the same time, it's like we saw Keels do, and at the same time, Boncaro, you know, he can take the ball up. Wendell Moore can take the ball up. So it's not like they lack a true ball handler. But no, I think Duke is hungry, and a hungry Duke is a scary Duke.
Yeah. We're never the underdogs. That's all I'm gonna say.
Never. Quinn Cook, my favorite Duke player of all
Honestly, like I can't even believe the line was 9 or 9.5. Like that sounds absurd. Like, dude, did like people in Vegas really think Duke was that much like worse than Gonzaga? Like I get they beat UCLA, but like I thought we were on a general consensus that UCLA was gassed this year. Like I thought the whole country was on a general consensus about that.
I don't agree with free money ever. I don't think there's any such thing as free money. I don't think any bet is a lock. Duke +9 is the only lock I've ever. I would have probably, if I had the money, I probably would have thrown $1,000 on Duke +9. That was the most confident I've ever been in a bet in my life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we can't take anything away from Gonzaga. You know, they fought, and that's not something I think we would have done last year. You know, we saw it in the national championship game. Baylor climbed into them. They went away. You know, they didn't fight back at all. I think both teams are scary good.
I think that too. I think Rasir Bolton needed more shots in the second half. I think he was the key to their success in the first half. As much as I don't like that guy, I think if he took more shots in the second half, they possibly could have won the game. But on Duke's side, I didn't like what I seen from Trevor Keels. You know, he was playing kind of he was still hungry though, but he was playing like kind of bad. I'll admit it. He was playing bad, but he was still hungry though. He was driving, getting fouls. He led us to getting into the bonus. So people don't realize that, you know, I'm looking at it from a outside perspective. I'm not looking at it from a fan's perspective after the game because I'm hyped we won, but like I'm trying to break the game down and see how we won, you know what I mean, and what we can do to be better. And I noticed Trevor Keels kept attacking, you know, driving the lane, getting those reaching fouls on them. He kept punching at them, even though he was having a bad game. He wasn't sitting out there shooting up threes, you know what I mean, jacking up crazy shots. He was actually being like, he was implementing himself into the offense without getting a basket, you know what I mean? But he does have to make those free throws because those free throws kind of scared me.
Yeah.
But he got us there.
I'm going to say something now, though, about the guards in the game. And I want you to respond to it. Andrew Nembhard is the best point guard in the country. I don't even think it's close. He makes the right play. Every time he has the ball, the right thing happens.
Honestly, that might have been the slowest take I've ever heard. But just for good measure, I don't think he's the best point guard in the country. He's the top 5. Actually, nah, he might be top 5. I don't know. I don't know. You know, I don't really like him. I like what he does on the floor, but I just think he's kind of a dickhead. You know, I don't know. I don't like his personality.
That's going to be interesting to see how that pans out because I'm going to die on that hill this year. Every time we talk about Gonzaga and Nembhard will be brought up, and I'm going to die on that hill. So we'll see how that plays out this
Honestly, the most I literally was people that are watching don't know this, but we watched the game together with a couple of our other buddies, and honestly, freaking Watson is the slowest dude I've ever met. And I kept saying this throughout the whole game. Like, why is he on the floor? But as a Duke fan, I was hyped. But from a analyst podcast perspective, I was like, why is this dude on the floor? He sucks. Like, I said the same thing with Jeremy Roach. So I was
just gonna say I said the same thing with Jeremy
I've never been a Jeremy Roach fan. I've never been a cheer supporter of Jeremy Roach in a Duke jersey. But I texted these dudes in the group chat before the game and was like, this dude better not take one shot tonight. Like, he's in Vegas. Like, don't even think about it. Like, and then of course, what happens? He comes out and starts 1 for 10 or something crazy like that. 1 for 10. But he did hit a good basket, so I'll give it to him. It's whatever.
Yeah, I was screaming, Jeremy Roach, get off the floor. I was screaming that for probably 90% of the game.
Yeah. So I think it was a great game. We couldn't have asked for better.
Yeah. No, 100%. That was an April game. That wasn't a March game. That was an April game. National championship.
For sure. I think, it could go either way. That was just those lines got to change though, honestly. That's crazy to me. Plus 325 money line. Oh my God. Whoever put even $50 on that is fucking swimming right now.
I know.
But yeah, so realistically, Gonzaga also, they faced up against UCLA. We also were right on that one. We both took Gonzaga in that one, and we both took Duke and Gonzaga Duke. So, we had a good day again. If you want to bet these games, tail us. We've been pretty hot. So
yeah, the Sonic blockbusters we've been pretty right on about. So let's see if we can keep that up in the look aheads for this week.
For sure. So Sunday, actually today, I don't know. I'm confused right now. Yeah, I'm in the air right now. But we had U Miami versus number 10 Alabama. Alabama came out and was losing at one point, and they just turned it on. Second half team, like we said, they shot above 50% from the three. They need to keep doing that. They need to keep giving J.D. Davidson minutes, and they will go as far as he can take them. As long as Keon Ellis and Javon Cornelius on the floor too, I think they'll be fine. They got a lot of difference makers on that team, so I'm not going to harp on that game as much. U Miami's got their role players, they're whatever guys, but Charlie Moore, Isaiah Wong and all them. But U Miami's good, so I'm not going to really talk bad about them. But let's get into the Big Ten ACC Challenge that's coming up this week.
Yeah. So the first game we got, Notre Dame versus Illinois. I actually expect a high-scoring game because I don't think Illinois is capable of guarding literally anybody at any level. Yeah. They just gave up 80 points to Texas Rio Grande, which is bad. But Kofi he had 40 points. He had 40 points. So I mean, I think the big question with them was how they could play around. Sorry about that. How they could play around Kofi. He might be a little too much to handle for them, but I expect probably a high-scoring game, Illinois in a close one.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I think Illinois they still got stuff to prove. They lost a couple early ones to some semi-bad teams. Yeah. They also, like you said, they also gave up 84 points to Texas Rio Grande, which shouldn't happen. They're in the 300s in KenPom rankings right now. Yeah. So I don't know what happened there, but Kofi had 40 on the bright side. He had 40 points.
Alfonso Plummer, he had a good game too. He had 30 points. Yeah. But like you said, they got 20 piece by a bad Cincinnati. I'm not a bad Cincinnati team, but a Cincinnati team is just not going anywhere. So I mean, I got to see ball security. I got to see defense, and I got to see consistency for Illinois as a Big Ten defender. For
sure. So one of my Wooden Award preseason predictions was Kofi Coburn. He had 40, so he's coming back off the injury. If he keeps this up, he might have it in the bag. He was a finalist last year. But your Trace Jackson Davis looks good too. What did he have? 47 the other night?
He had 40. I couldn't believe it because that's the first time I've actually ever seen him play pissed off. He's always playing like he's not the guy. He's the guy. Start playing like it, and he'll win the Wooden Award for fun.
Yep. But yeah, that was a good bet. That was a good pick on your part. He flew under my radar, but
yeah, no,
I'm definitely on his train now, though. Trace Jackson's on his train.
No, he's good. He's a good facilitator. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's a good guy to like. But yeah, like I said, Illinois in a close one. Another close game. Illinois. You like Illinois too?
Yeah, I'll take Illinois too with the points.
Yeah, talk about your boys against the Buckeyes on Tuesday.
So number 5 Duke, obviously. That's going to change. They're going to move up in the AP. I would say 1 or 2, at the least 3. I think at the least 2. I think it's Duke, Purdue, and Gonzaga, or it's going to be Duke, Gonzaga, Purdue. So
Yeah.
some combination of those three is going to be in the new AP when it drops. But I think this is a bad matchup. This is just bad matchups all around. OSU has nobody besides EJ Liddell. He's their only player scoring in double figures right now. He averages 22.5 or something like that. And any other guy that under him doesn't average double figures. They average 9 or less points, which you cannot have. OSU is just there's not a good basketball team this year. They have a good player in EJ Liddell, but I don't know. They've already I've already been wrong about them. I was high on them coming in, and they just haven't proved anything to me. They don't have any really wins that would make me say they can compete with Duke at this point in time. So I'm just going to be looking for the EJ Liddell Paulo matchup or Wendell Moore EJ Liddell matchup. I think that's going to be a good one. It's going to make me want to watch the game more because OSU doesn't have these players anymore like they used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the time being, that game's on Tuesday at 9:30. I think it's at OSU if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be a good one going in there. See if Duke can get battle tested on the road maybe, because hopefully OSU plays good in their own gym. But I'm going to take Duke with the points. I think they win this game. And if I had to say, I think the game goes under because I think Duke scores 90 and OSU scores about 50. But don't quote me on that.
So as a gambler, I think it's a letdown spot for Duke. Emotional win in Vegas against the number 1 team in the country. I think there's a little bit of a letdown spot there. But like you said, they outmatch OSU literally everywhere, and especially the bigs. But for me, I want to see Roach and I want to see Keels. Maybe sprinkle a little bit of Joey Baker. Hopefully not though, because I don't think he should step near a Division I basketball court.
He should be
But
playing. He should be playing for Incarnate Word or App State, and he would average 20 points per game. But that's where he needs to be at this point.
I think my school, Division III, I think they need a spot. He should probably try out for them. But I think Keels needs to have a bounce back game because I don't think Michi Johnson is good at all. I don't think Malachi Branham's good at all. Justin Orange, Jimmy Soto's. I think the Duke guards really need to assert themselves in this game. But there's kind of a tendency with Duke to lay down against lesser opponents. We've seen that time and time again, and they're not going to be at Cameron Indoor for this game. They're going to be at Ohio State.
That's what I'm saying. I would love for them to get battle tested, but at the same time, who's battle testing Trevor Keels? Not Kyle Young. I don't think he's battle testing him. You know what I mean? Michi Johnson, is he going to battle test somebody? I don't know. I mean, these dudes, they're a bad team. They're winning on buzzer beaters, the bad teams. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. So position analysis, Duke blows them out of the water. But just thinking about it logically and like what history tells us, it's a letdown spot for Duke. For me, at least, I'm gonna stay away. I probably won't touch the game.
Yeah. So where are you gonna go with? You're gonna go with Duke?
I'm probably not going to touch the game. I think Duke should blow them out of the water, which is exactly why I won't bet the game.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, this is their national championship. They need this game bad.
To be honest.
Pretty much all there is to it. But a game I will be betting is the Purdue FSU game. And you're probably saying Purdue. No, I think it's Florida State. They're very similar teams. I think FSU will probably be an 8-point underdog, 9-point underdog, maybe. They're very similar teams. They have this similar depth, height. They both crash the glass, and like I said, both rely heavily on their depth. But the only problem is Purdue doesn't lose at home. They do not lose at Mackey Arena, so I probably won't take FSU money line. I'll probably take them with the points. And the X factors are Anthony Polite and Caleb Mills. Anthony Polite especially, he's a senior. He's been playing like crap lately. He can't hit shots. He can't facilitate. He's one of their only experienced guys on the team. So he's got to show up, and they got to keep Purdue off the glass.
For sure, yeah. I mean, their bigs are going to have to do something down there, Raekwon Gray. These dudes are going to have to get after it. And
they are.
I think, like you said, is good. I don't think people realize that FSU isn't as good as they've always been, but they have sneaky guys who can be, they can be good together. You know what I mean? And I think they're still building and working towards that. They lost to Florida, which was a bad loss, but Florida looked good this year. So it's not that bad of a loss now. It's not that bad of a loss anymore. Florida looks good, but I think FSU is putting the pieces together. I'm going to go with Purdue here. I think Purdue is one of the best teams to watch in the country, aside from UConn, Duke, and Gonzaga. I think that Purdue is just an electric team. They average like 90 points per game scoring as a team. I think this game's going way over because, like you said, even if it is a close game with good matchups, which people don't realize there will be good matchups in this game, and the benches too, the benches will be going after it. They both got pretty good benches. Purdue's got the better bench, I would say, but FSU has guys on their bench that are liable to go off and step up. But like you said, it's going to be a good game. I would say you're safe taking FSU with the points because FSU probably will be 8, 9, 10-point dogs. So, and I think Purdue hasn't been battle tested yet. Purdue really hasn't been battle tested yet. And
they played Villanova.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, they have. They should have won that game for fun, though. That's what I'm saying. They were bad. Yeah, they were battle tested. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, at the same time, it's Florida State just went to overtime with a really bad team. They just won by 1, so they could have been looking ahead to this game, which I like to see. And Purdue, they play first Big Ten matchup on Friday against Iowa, so they could be looking ahead there. You don't know, but like I said, they got to keep them off the glass, and
yeah.
Hopefully they walk away with the win because I personally don't like Purdue.
Yeah, that's my only concern with Purdue. They don't play any defense, so they've been giving up 70, 80, 90 points all year. So
yeah.
Well,
another team that doesn't play any defense is UNC.
Yeah,
and they're not away with that against Michigan, which is another. I think that's our last look ahead game. That's
another Big Ten ACC challenge game. They play Wednesday at 9:15. If you want to lock in on that game, number 20 Michigan versus UNC. UNC, like you said, doesn't play a lick of defense. I'm not in on Garcia. I think he's horrible. Caleb Love, he's okay. Armando Bacot is my favorite player to watch on that team. Brady Manick also up there. I think he's their only hope at this point, if we're being totally honest. I think Michigan is struggling too right now. It's two teams that are struggling, you know what I mean? Like UNC was going down the wire with Brown, and they've lost to Purdue, you know what I mean? They've been battle tested with Purdue, and they've obviously lost to Purdue. They lost to Tennessee, you know what I mean? UNC's been taking blows already, so I think they could come in here and have their legs ready for Michigan. But Michigan's got Eli Brooks, Hunter Dickinson, all these guys, these older guys that have been on the team already. So I don't know. I think it's a fair matchup though. I don't know who to go with, honestly, for this game. It's just two not good teams, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know who to go with.
They definitely match up evenly together. But the analysis is simple for me. Juwan Howard versus Hubert Davis. I'm taking Juwan Howard 9 days a week. I think Hunter Dickinson, he's obviously the best player playing in this game. And Michigan, they need this game. Obviously UNC does as well, but Michigan.
That's what I'm saying. That's the reason why I think I'm going to lean towards UNC, because I think UNC? I don't think the line's going to be that big. Do you? I don't see the line being that big.
I think Michigan might be a few point favorites.
Yeah, like 4.
If that, I'm going to take Michigan.
2.5, maybe.
I'm going to take Michigan 100% though. And I won't think about it because I think UNC is terrible.
So we don't really agree, and I don't really like UNC, but I do like I kind of like what they got going on with their bench. So if their bench can step up, I think they're in this game, probably win it. And like I said, they're hungry. They've been taking blow after blow, you know what I mean? Purdue, Tennessee, all these games, you know what I mean? Just in close games with bad teams. Where they were in a close game with UNC Asheville the other day, if I'm not mistaken. So I think UNC needs this statement dub. Do they win it? Probably not. But I want them to win, so I'm gonna go with them. So we're pretty much locked in on all the games. We picked the same team besides UNC and Michigan. So that'll be our decider next week when we review.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the Buckeyes are here. That's all I'm gonna say.
Stop. That might be a bad take. That might be a bad take.
Yeah, it might be. We'll see though. It'll definitely be a good game.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that's all we got for today. Next episode will be Thursday night. will be filmed Thursday night, uploaded Friday morning. So you'll have 2 episodes this week. This will be live tomorrow, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
So
Thanksgiving's over, so we'll be really locked in on this, really
yeah,
focused as we're getting closer to conference play.
we got a lot more games coming up. Yeah, like you said, easing into conference play. I think we got some good matchups coming up. I think they're doing an amazing job with the game so far. I think the refs have been fairly. I think we haven't touched on the refs, but I think the refs have been fair. You know, people were saying Gonzaga was getting hoed, but I think the refs have been pretty fair across the board for all these games.
Yeah, no,
So
for sure. And it's been, maybe a little too many charge calls. I could like to see, like, if we're gonna call a charge, let's call it correctly.
yeah,
But yeah, for the most part, pretty solid.
all right. So I think that's all we got. So good episode. We'll talk to you guys later. We'll be going over some different stuff next episode. You know, we'll have AP poll, Kempom. We're gonna go more in on Kempom. We haven't really went in on that much, so we're gonna look to go after that. So be on the lookout.
Thanks for listening.
Yep.
Salute.